What's up, Leafs fans, and welcome back to Leafs Digest. There's not too much going on with the big club right now in terms of player news, rumors, nothing like that. Nothing new. We've already brought the information to you guys about Chychrun, Klingberg, Sherrod, Luke Shen, if there was any interest there, the possibility of trading guys like Travis Dermott and Nick Ritchie. But there is one interesting case that continues to go down here right now, continues to get bigger and bigger as things move on and get closer to the deadline, in fact. And that would be the case of Josh Ho-Sang and his ability to jump back into the NHL. He's currently playing for Team Canada at the Olympics, and through 4 games so far this season, through this Olympics, he has put together 3 assists. Not completely an overwhelming performance by him, but he is contributing on the Olympic stage, and that is a good sign. He has also continued to draw some NHL interest for his return back from the Olympics to the AHL, and given his contract situation here in Toronto, where he's on a one-way deal with the AHL, any team in the NHL could come to him and call him. But what we are here to talk about today is whether or not he would be a good add for this Leafs team, if he's NHL ready, and if he's ready to jump back into the NHL, and all the different things that come along with it. But before we start to break all of that down, I want to remind everybody, Goody and I are on the road to 2,000 subscribers. We've mentioned it on here before. I brought it up first, and Goody jumped on board. We're going to be growing our hair out till the playoffs, and we've still got ourselves about 2.5 months here until the playoffs start. And if you're looking at Goody right now, this guy's got long hair going already. Mine is still a little bit shorter, but I got the long hair on top. Things are starting to grow here, so we're going to be working that out until the playoffs. And if we get to that 2K mark, we will be going mullets for the playoffs. So if you want to see some ridiculous hairdos, make sure you hit that subscribe button.
I want a mullet.
I'm at this point, I want the mullet too, because it just signifies a bunch of stuff. Leafs playoffs, 2K subscribers, just some exciting things that will be happening with this channel and with this hockey team moving forward. So I am all in on the mullets as well. So make sure you hit that subscribe button and help the boys get there. Get us some ridiculous hairdos come playoff time. But Goody, let's get into the Josh Ho-Sang stuff here right now. Through 27 games played with the Toronto Marlies this season, he's put together 11 goals, 9 assists, 20 points. But more than anything, more than point production, more than his play on the ice, the biggest or the most notable thing that's changed with Josh Ho-Sang has been his level of maturity. It's been something that other players, people in the Leafs organization, the management, the coaching staff, and the Marlies have all commented on about how he has matured and developed as a person away from the game. And that was the biggest knock that he had, and one of the biggest reasons that he actually ended up leaving North American professional hockey and having to go over to Sweden. Now, he himself mentioned that a lot of things changed over there. He had an incredible coach who started to turn some things around for him, and it gave him the opportunity to have some interest from teams here in Canada, in the US, in pro sports in North America. Now, the Leafs end up bringing him to training camp on a PTO, which means that he's trying out for the team essentially. And after the tryouts, or after the preseason ended, he was offered a one-way contract with the Toronto Marlies. So he is just with the Marlies. In order to come up to the NHL, he would have to sign an NHL contract. He would have to be brought up that way. No waivers, nothing, but any team in the NHL could grab him on an NHL contract. I mean, before we start to get into could he go elsewhere, could he be NHL ready, is this a type of guy that the Toronto Maple Leafs should look to bring into this team right now or closer to the deadline, and especially because of how easy it is to bring him up?
You know, if you make a trade where you clear out a little bit of your forward depth, I could see it happening for sure. If the team largely remains the same, maybe we add a D-man, we trade a goalie, I don't know, something like that happens that doesn't affect the forward pool, then I don't know how likely it is to see Josh Ho-Sang come up. I think in theory he would help, but this team's been really good. And unfortunately, if he does come up, I think it's going to be my guy, Pierre Engvall, who gets the short side of the stick there, and he doesn't really deserve to. I think he's proven more this season in the NHL with a little bit of production and just being solid than Ho-Sang has with pretty impressive numbers in the AHL. I still think when you look at that comparison, Pierre Engvall still deserves the spot a little bit more. So that's something I still think makes it a little bit less likely that at a full health in your player pool or at your forward pool, I still don't see it too likely happening for Ho-Sang. But trade deadline brings a whole lot into the picture here. And we do want a D-man. And so we might need to take away from our deep forward pool right now to make that happen. And so that would open the likely situation that we could see Ho-Sang. So given that all that happens, I think it's a good opportunity. But if the team stays relatively the same, which isn't the worst thing in the world, I don't really see it happening. But regardless, he will be with an NHL team when he gets back. I'm just mainly focusing on, will it be with the Leafs? I'm not entirely sure. I think that before the Leafs really know for certain, he's already going to have decent offers elsewhere. So I think that's the likely situation.
Yeah.
Maybe Kyle Dubas will surprise us with something, but I would give this one like a 15 to 20% chance of happening.
Okay, fair enough. And I think you raised some good points there, and I kind of see things happening somewhat the same way. But one thing you did bring up is that he will be with another NHL team when he gets back, and I agree. I think that someone will try to take a chance on him. But as far as things go and his ability to move to another team, I did see an interesting quote from him. He said, "Even if I got an offer from another team, I would like to have a respectful conversation with Kyle, thanking him and discussing with him before I would accept anything. Because like I said, I have so much respect for that man and what he's done for my hockey career that I'll never forget it. It's not something that I'm just going to throw away. Because for me, any NHL team that's knocking, it's because of Kyle." So I think that there's a lot of gratitude
Wow.
towards Toronto and what the opportunity, the platform that they've provided him. Because I think that it goes a long way in terms of, it wasn't just that they gave him a chance in North America. And I do have another quote here. I know these are going to be a little bit long, but I think they're very important for him and his history here. He said, "People talk about my past and my mistakes, but like, if I didn't do any of that, I wouldn't have come here. I wouldn't have found this place. I wouldn't have felt so comfortable here. It can be hard. It can be hard to be yourself, but it's important because it'll get you to where you need to be. Some of the things that I've done and people have shunned me for, and I have no regrets about any of that stuff because, like I said, I've come to a new environment where they embrace that and they say, hey, you can be you. Let us help you be a better version of you. That's different than," and quote, "we want to change everything about you." So I think that there's a lot going on here in Toronto from top down that has more than allowed him to be the player he is on the ice. I think a lot of it stems from them treating him as a person off of it, allowing him to be himself elsewhere, helping him be the best version of himself off the ice, which allows for that opportunity onto the ice. Now, this doesn't mean that Toronto is going to say, if another team comes and tries to sign him, no, we want to sign you. Not saying that. But what it might mean is that if another team comes and offers him a position and the Leafs also have interest, his loyalty is likely going to reside with Toronto here, with Dubas, with the management staff, with the coaching, with the organization that's given him this opportunity, not just to come back and play pro hockey here in Canada or in North America, but giving him the opportunity to better himself as a person, because he has expressed great gratitude and he has shown an ability to change and to mature and to be a better or different person off the ice, which allows him to grow on it. I think that there's a lot going on here for him in his time in Toronto that I think no matter what, his loyalties would lie to Toronto, and he would like to have the opportunity to play for the Maple Leafs first and foremost.
Oh, no doubt. And look, I'm not trying to play devil's advocate here because what you're saying about these quotes, those are massively relevant because he's explicitly talking about if he does get offers, what's going to happen, where his respect and loyalty lies. Like, those are very explicit claims as to how he feels about his experience here in Toronto. And I mean, you love to see it as a sports fan, the gratitude coming from a guy who was supposed to be a very big name in the league. He himself was a brand out there on the ice. Josh Ho-Sang hockey, and he was special, and I think it was a big time crash to his ego and everything he had become when he didn't make it into the NHL at first and things didn't pan out. I know that he already was like, what, he went like deep in the first round, right? He wasn't a
28th
lottery.
overall.
Yeah. So he had reasonable expectations of doing it, but it's big time kudos to Kyle Dubas giving him that extra opportunity and allowing him to somewhat redeem himself. But where I come back down to reality a little bit here is even though there might be a conversation of respect before it happens, I think you do get kind of caught between a rock and a hard place here because Ho-Sang's a guy that, he wants to reward Dubas for this opportunity, but the Leafs also will not have a whole lot of money to give him. And I don't think that there's going to be an intense bidding war here. I really don't. But even though, the Leafs might be able to offer him 1.3 or something, like that might even be ambitious.
Yeah, just hypothetically, yeah.
Hypothetically offer him 1.3, and then you get another offer of 1.75. So even though on the books it doesn't seem crazy, this is a guy who actually hasn't made a whole fortune in hockey yet.
Mhm.
Of course, he's been lucky to probably live off of it in most ways. Definitely, he's a professional player. I'm sure he does well. But these are going to be dollars that I think when it comes down to like an opportunity he might only have for the rest of this season, it might matter a fair bit because I mean this guy hasn't had the benefit of playing in the NHL for a long time. Like these, $500,000, even though it looks small in your total cap on a team, the Leafs might not be able to give it more than that because we're right at the limit. And to him, I don't know. It's tough for me to say it'll go one way or the other. I am just a little bit happy to hear that there will be, regardless, a discussion of respect with Dubas beforehand.
Yeah, and before we get into kind of the ability to fit him into the lineup and what might happen, because I have some ideas in my head of how that might break down or where his chance may come. I kind of disagree with you actually on a bidding war or his willingness to go somewhere else for more money. We've seen different players, i.e. Michael Bunting, Jason Spezza, Wayne Simmons, come to Toronto on cheaper deals than they've been offered elsewhere because of the organization and the opportunity to win. And I have a quote here, and I was waiting to use this one from Josh Hosang, and I think that this directly ties into that kind of conversation and what leads me to believe that even if a bidding war broke out and someone offered him $500,000 more, he would stay here, and this is what he had to say. I'd be willing to start in the East Coast. This is what he said at training camp. I'm not entitled by any means. I don't think that I deserve anything here. For me, I am happy to be a part of this organization in any way they need me. If they need me sharpening skates, if they need me taping sticks, this place is so special. So I just think that ultimately he would look at this and yes, he'd want to make the money, but this is also a platform for him to get to a place where he can make more money next year. You're going to make an extra, I don't know, $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 to finish out this season, and maybe you end up in some random place. Maybe you end up in Buffalo because they just need guys and they want you to come play. Or you stick here in Toronto, you finish out this season, and maybe it gives you a launch pad to go somewhere else next season or sign somewhere in the offseason and actually go and make that money. I think for him right now, the money is not what's important. I genuinely believe, and from his statements and where he's at mentally mature in his maturity, I think that Toronto is his priority of I want to stay here, I want to play here, and I want this opportunity first and foremost.
I just don't know how much of a self-sabotage it is to his career because I mean, who does he take out of the lineup, right? Pierre
Yeah.
Engvall, maybe. I mean, even that could be a night-to-night thing. So how much does his stock in Toronto really have a chance of going up? Because you're right. You know what? You make a good point when you compare him to Michael Bunting. Those are two young guys who I think money should reasonably mean a lot to both of them. They're breaking into the NHL at like 24 years old, probably want to get some solid money behind their names, just speaking realistically.
Yeah, they're both 26 actually.
Oh, sorry. So yeah, a
Yeah.
little bit older than I'm
Yeah.
saying. So I think that it is still in his best interest to go somewhere where he can build a foundation in the future. But I don't even know if the Leafs are that place. Like I don't know, and it's just because we're a win now team, and so it's not really aligned fully with his path. Sure, he could come in on a hot streak, maybe even like appear in the playoffs and have a really big game or something. That could happen. But there's nowhere close to a guarantee of it when our roster looks this good. Our forwards have been our strong spot, and so maybe if we need to move out some of our strong spot, and we know we're doing it in the future, I could see a contract being cooked up to kind of compensate for needing to make deals to bolster the D line. That could be something for sure. But is there any chance, Phil, that someone, if he's like lights out at the Olympics the rest of the way, and just seems so mature, do you think there's any chance a team that's struggling a little bit, maybe like a Buffalo would offer him like the rest of this season and a player option for next year too? You think that's like an opportunity that someone could sweeten the pot with, or is that's unlikely, you think?
I wouldn't put it out of the realm of possibility. There's no player options. Like he would have to be signed into a confirmed contract, a guaranteed contract. But I wouldn't put it past some team to see him and go, we need him right now, or we need him, and we're gonna sign him right now. We'll finish out this season with him and then build with him going forward. I could see that 100% being the case, especially considering he's drawn a bunch of interest just based on what he's done in the AHL this year. But I mean, he's really shown here in Toronto that he's taking care of himself. He's sorting things out there. Not only is the organization helping him, but he is focusing on himself as well. He is putting himself first, and he's taking care of himself. And Goody, you know what else is a good way to take care of yourself is to take care of your jewels. And What's the best way to take care of your jewels? Well, Manscaped. Manscaped is the best in men's below the waist grooming and offers a precision engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped recently launched the Ultimate Men's Hygiene Bundle, the Performance Package. You can join over 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you. 4 million men worldwide, Goody. You know, I'm not the biggest math guy. I am the self-proclaimed analytics or stats guy of this show. But I mean, basic numbers there, you're looking at 4 million men worldwide. You're looking at about 8 million balls that's being taken care of by Manscaped. And you yourself can go and take care of your own family jewels with code Leafs Digest at manscaped.com. You get 20% off and free shipping. I mean, it's an absolute game changer. Goody, it's ridiculous that I'm sitting here. I'm telling you, Goody, you got to use this electric razor to take care of yourself. You're probably sitting there going, Phil, how am I supposed to do this? I'm going to get cuts. There's going to be problems. Well, don't worry about that. The 4th generation trimmer features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents thanks to their advanced skin-safe technology. The Lawnmower 4.0 is water-resistant and also has a 400K LED spotlight for a more precise shave. It doesn't get much better than that, Goody. I mean, you're talking about water resistance, lights, ceramic blades. This is the perfect way to take. Yeah, it's top of the line. This is the perfect stuff you could ask for to take care of yourself. No more bathroom mess. You get in the shower, you do this, like water resistance. It is the perfect combination. And guys, Manscaped is also throwing in 2 free gifts to their Performance Package 4.0, the Manscaped Boxers and the Shed Travel Bag. Now, they sent us a bunch of stuff. We've tried it out. It's amazing stuff. I'm wearing the boxers right now. I would show you, but I'm not getting banned from YouTube, so take my word for it. They are comfortable boxers, and no more worrying about how am I going to carry my products with me. They're giving you a travel bag, guys. So it's time to take care of yourself. Go to manscaped.com and get 20% off and free shipping with promo code Leafs Digest. I mean, it's as easy as that. You go to their website, you put in Leafs Digest, you get 20% off and free shipping. It's that simple. It's really that simple, Goody. So make sure you take advantage of that, guys. Go over there, manscaped.com, promo code Leafs Digest, and take care of your family jewels. But guys, it's really that easy. Don't miss out on this opportunity. We're just giving you guys things here. 20% off, free shipping. It's a perfect deal. It's really perfect.
Go check it out, guys. It was just Valentine's the other day. I had to go. They already sent me the pack. You guys know I took care of myself. This product is next level. You got to go check it out.
All right, well, getting back into the Josh Ho-Sang talk here, I mentioned to you that I had kind of an idea of how he might fit into this lineup, and I got to be very honest with you. I see Kyle Dubas and Sheldon Keefe wanting him to be a part of this team, and the way I'm looking at this right now is the Leafs are paying Nick Ritchie $1.3 million to not play for them. He is eating up $1.3 million of salary space is what I'm kind of referring to, and he's not in this lineup. He's not with the taxi squad. He's not in the lineup. He's not playing games. He's not practicing. He has no involvement here, and they're eating a huge chunk of this salary. Elliot Friedman has gone on their broadcast. He's gone on their podcast, and he has said himself the Leafs are looking to trade Nick Ritchie. They're shopping him around, seeing what they can get in return for him. And honestly, the longer that this goes on, I could very likely see a situation where Kyle Dubas looks to move Nick Ritchie for absolute magic beans and just brings up Josh Ho-Sang as someone he can pay less money to and actually be there as a depth player for this Leafs team coming down the stretch. As much as I imagine Josh Ho-Sang would love to finish out the season with the Marlies, the opportunity to get back into the NHL, get back into NHL games is going to be so appetizing to him. I think that he would jump at that. And I think
But that's where I'm like, if he would jump at that opportunity, maybe he wouldn't want to. The quotes are so convincing because I look at the surface level of his situation and I think to myself, well, if he wants games, you know, maybe the Leafs forward lineup isn't the place to go. Like ideally, it's awesome to have him there as a safety valve, but this man's playing for a contract and some coin. I don't know if this is his best chance of showing that he's worth it. Obviously, the Leafs are a great team, and I think they'll get the most out of him on the ice. And of course, he loves it here. Like those things all factor in. But I'm looking at the forward lineup on my laptop right now. Like I just don't know without injuries, which I mean they do happen, right? I'm sure if he was here, he would find an opportunity. It's just not guaranteed.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I like it from all angles, and honestly, the quotes are too convincing to not read into. Like, I think this could be happening, but we'll see. I'm thinking about my guy Pierre Engvall a little bit right now, Phil. I won't lie to you.
Fair enough. But I keep looking at these quotes. I keep thinking about them, and I think that they are very convincing reasons for him to stay here and want to be a part of this. And then here is where I'm going with the second piece. You move on from Nick Ritchie, like we're not thinking about that anymore. It's widely known that the Leafs are trying to acquire a defenseman. Well, let's be very honest with ourselves here. A team that's trading away a good defenseman that the Leafs would likely be looking to acquire is probably going to want some sort of serviceable piece in return. Now, this is where you run into situations where potentially they want guys who are in this lineup. A guy that's been talked about who's potentially could be on the move, or a lot of fans out there. I don't want him traded, but I see a lot of fans talking about him being traded. Alex Kerfoot. So let's say a guy like Kerfoot goes out, or Engvall has to be involved in a trade, or you finally get to move on from Ritchie. You have to have pieces in place to replace them. And now I'm not saying if Alex Kerfoot gets traded, Josh Hosang tomorrow morning is on second line. I don't think that's the case. I don't think that's reality. But what I do see here is this Leafs team looking at him and going, we need backup in case of injuries, a trade, COVID-related issues. There's a lot of things that could happen here where they might go, we need a player to jump in right now. And if a team came knocking and offered Josh Hosang a spot, I think that the Leafs would be hesitant to just let him walk without offering a contract of their own before they had that opportunity, because of knowing what could be coming up here in the next month leading up to trade deadline. There's a lot of variables in terms of injuries or players moving out, and it would be a shame if you knew you had this guy in the system and just let him go to another team for nothing, and then you end up needing him.
Yeah, you're right. And even I admitted that this could very much so be in the Leafs' plans, that we got to move some of our forward depth to make up on the blue line. And I think most fans actually want to see that happen, myself included. Of course, the deal needs to be right, but I do trust Kyle Dubas, even though he takes a lot of criticism as well. I think that there are things coming. So having Josh Hosang to back it up and sort of an in-house pickup. I know you can't directly call him up from the Marlies because he's going to get that offered contract when they get back. So otherwise, it'd be great if he could just hang out on the Marlies and then we keep him there if we really need him. I mean, that's ideal. But when he comes home from the Olympics, I have a gut feeling he will get the contract. Me and you already agreed on that. We'll see what happens. I think that the trade deadline makes it very likely that he could end up having some upward mobility now. It's just at the moment, if nothing changes, I'm not sure if he can stomach this as the best opportunity for him either. But the likelihood is it will change because we need to get that blue line bolstered, and we can't really move D pieces for more D pieces. It just we're going to need to cut into the forwards here unless something happens with Mrazek. But even then, who knows? It'll be interesting to see. I would like to see it though. It feels like sort of the storybook ending to how we got signed this year, and the Leafs being kind of, we called it a last dance situation. In some ways, it is. But this is definitely, it's got a cool energy about it this year. We'll see if Hosang can fit into it.
All right, well, if you weren't convinced already from the quotes that I've given you, I have one final one for you to just think about on your way out here. Josh Hosang was asked about what the difference was about him being in Toronto, and he had to say, just the dialogue in Toronto. One thing that's really helped me is I feel very heard there. My opinion seems like it matters, and that inspires me to go and be better on the ice because I feel like I have a lot of stake in what's going on. I want our team to do well for my teammates and for my coaches, and I think that really inspires players when they feel connected to their organization rather than a piece of meat like players I've heard have experienced in some places. Now that right there, that quote in itself makes me think that he would even be hesitant to go and accept another contract if the Leafs offered him a contract as well. So I think that if both parties offered contracts, that quote alone might be reason for him to go, I don't know, because I know what I have here and I don't know what it's like there. And he's had opportunities that fell apart in other organizations and things didn't work out for him, and he may be weary of going out somewhere else. I agree with how you're saying, and when he might look at this and go, I have another opportunity to go and play more minutes or get in a lineup more consistently. But I think even coming down to it, for him to sit here and go, I could be a part of a team that could have a long Stanley Cup playoff run. I could be a part of this even if I'm the 13th forward. I think that might in itself be something he would be interested in doing. He is a Toronto boy goodie, and the other thing to remember here is whether he plays every single game the Leafs play in the playoffs and they win the cup, or whether he plays one or he plays none, if he is there on that team and they win the cup, his name goes on the Stanley Cup under the Toronto Maple Leafs name, and he is a Toronto kid. It has been his dream to wear the Maple Leaf. It has been his dream to wear the blue and white. I could see a lot of sentimental value also pushing into that.
Imagine being in year 2015 and hearing that the Leafs finally snapped their Stanley Cup drought and Josh Ho-Sang's name is one of them carved onto the Stanley Cup.
Not just that. Think about this. Josh Ho-Sang in 2014 was drafted in the first round, 28th overall to the New York Islanders. So imagine in 2014 or 2015, someone said to you, the Toronto Maple Leafs in 2022 will win the Stanley Cup, and John Tavares will be the captain of the Maple Leafs, and Josh Ho-Sang will be on his team or the winger. Or his winger.
No, and you got Wayne Simmons floating around in the mix too.
Jason
and then even
Spezza.
back then we knew about who Austin Matthews was, but we didn't know where he would play. Bro, that would be a crazy thing. That would blow my grade 8 mind would be on the wall. Actually, no, sorry. I was in grade like 10 or something. But that's insane to think about. But just briefly back onto what we were talking about with the quotes, that is so compelling. As much as I think that players need to realize it's a business, and I think someone that's needed to fight tooth and nail to get any money out of hockey and just like kind of be an underdog the whole way. Yeah. I think he's going to need to understand and value where his best business opportunities are. And if the Leafs haven't moved at all in the trade deadline, he might look at Toronto and be like, hey, look, I wanted it to work out, but I'm just not going to have reliable nights of playing, and I don't know if I can earn a contract. But Dubas is also the kind of guy. There's like the sort of guy to be like, okay, if you can't earn a contract, you can come back and play in the AHL again for us. Like, this isn't the end of making money off of hockey for him anywhere, but part of me does feel like he'll want to maximize it. But when I hear that quotes, I can't help but agree with you that this Toronto deal is probably more likely than I said earlier in this video when I left it at like a 15% chance. You tell me those quotes, it goes up to like honestly like a 50-50 now. So I'm interested to see how it develops, honestly.
Well, I think that it basically for Josh Ho-Sang, it's not if he will play in the NHL again, it's when, and that will be determined, especially when he comes back from the Olympics, the kind of interest that he draws from other NHL teams, especially the Toronto Maple Leafs. So we'll see what happens there. We'll see how he performs throughout the rest of the Olympics. Team Canada is playing Sweden in the quarterfinals in their next game, so we'll see how he fares in that. But Leafs fans, let us know in the comments what you think about Josh Ho-Sang. Should the Leafs bring him up? How do they fit him in here? What line should he play on? What do you guys think about Josh Ho-Sang? Is he ready to join the NHL or join the Toronto Maple Leafs? Let us know your comments. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. We look forward to hearing them from you guys. And remember, you go to manscaped.com, you get 20% off and free shipping with promo code Leafs Digest. So make sure you take advantage of that. And final thing I'm going to say before we go here, Goody. Road to 2K. We're almost at that 2,000 subscriber mark. And if you want to see us with some mullets, we're growing the hair out here. Things are getting a little bit shaggy. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. We will be going mullets for playoffs if we get to 2K before then. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. Thank you guys so much for following along, for supporting us. We will see you guys very, very soon. Leafs fans, keep believing.
Signing off.